good evening, everyone. I'm David Johnson, Transformative Consulting, and I am joined tonight by my dear friend and colleague, Cassandra Williams. Now, I represent Transformative Consulting, and Cassandra represents Educational Innovations 360 Degrees. So, give us a rundown of what Educational Innovation 360 Degrees is.
Of course. So EI 360 or Educational Innovation 360 is a supportive group for teachers. So we provide ongoing professional development for teachers and training. So I love that we are a team. We're finally teaming up. So I'm very excited to be here, David.
Well, I'm glad to have you here too. On your show, on your channel. Here we are, Transform Ed and Educational Innovation together again for the first time. And of course, there's a list of things that Transform Ed Consulting offers. And look us up. We're all over the internet and YouTube and LinkedIn. You'll find us and you'll see the services that we offer. Mm-hmm. Well, today we have, again, my dear friend and colleague, Cassandra Williams. Cassandra Williams, Indianapolis, Indiana, is an accomplished educator, administrator, and consultant known for her diverse roles and significant contributions to education. As CEO of Educational Innovation 360 Degrees, she leads a consultancy focused on instructional coaching and teacher training with a distinctive emphasis on her 4C system. With an MA in Educational Administration and extensive teaching experience, including a clinical professorship at Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis, she shines in curriculum development and student engagement. Her leadership as Director of Africana Studies at IUPUI also demonstrates her commitment to advancing educational outcomes. Her numerous keynote addresses underscores her dedication to fostering inclusive and effective learning environments. Ms. Williams' journey, or Cassandra's journey, from K-12 education to higher education, paired with her entrepreneurial ventures, showcases her expertise and lasting effect on education. Cassandra, you've done a lot of different things.
Yay! Yes.
How about you boil it down to the journey of how you got from there to here?
Right? So, I mean, I've been a teacher, a coach. I've opened 2 schools in the greater Indianapolis area. And so I've been in education all my life. I've coached so long. And I think what allowed me to pivot is the fact when I opened those 2 schools in Indianapolis, although I enjoyed opening them, collecting data, knocking on doors, but the biggest concern I had was it was very hard to be a building administrator, a principal, leader, and an instructional coach. So even though I was highly skilled at being an instructional coach and going depth with teachers, I couldn't do both. And I pivoted and backed up and said, what if I created a program that supported teachers, but I was the right-hand woman or man for the principal? Like, that was where I backed up and started developing the system to where now I'm able to coach multiple teachers anywhere, anytime in the United States.
Well, how does one become an instructional coach? How does one develop the expertise? Is it from study or is it from experience? How does one develop the credentials to be an instructional coach?
Well, I mean, most of my training came from coaching training. I've taken some classes, and educators always continue with classes and school. But I was really trained in Los Angeles Unified School District. And so many of the coaches that are in the schools are either highly skilled in their area of expertise and they're promoted, and then they seek out training outside of the school or within the school, and then just practice. I'm constantly taking classes to up my game. I just took a certificate in best practices with online learning. So I'm always figuring out. I took also a mini class on, coaching in the metaverse, right? So I think as a coach and as any educator, you're always learning and growing. But yeah, that's kind of my background, experience, and training.
Mm-hmm. Tell us a little bit about your work with Africana Studies.
So with Africana Studies, it was a wonderful position. I was able to support an administrator on leave. And then when they asked me to stay on, and I was like, oh, okay, okay. And we were able to do some amazing things. I mean, we brought jazz to uh, our institution in the campus center. We were able to bring artists, poets. We had movies on campus and really had panel discussions from professors in their field of expertise. So we were able to bring trending topics and ideas and thoughts to
Mm-hmm.
to the community. And we were able to bring community members on campus, which has been a difficult thing for some universities, but a lot of times that is definitely what is needed.
Well, I would be remiss if I did not ask about the 4C system. Explain that to us.
So the 4C system is kind of what I developed to train teachers. As you know, Educational Innovation 360 does ongoing professional development training. And so it's really about helping teachers get collaborative ideas, creative instruction inserts that's relative to what's going on in the world. Classroom management has been a really big thing for a lot of our teachers, especially in the current context. And then, just evidence and creating engaging lessons. I think those are the 4Cs, and that's what really brings my professional development to life. Is working on those areas.
Well, great. Thank you for your insight and thank you for being here. Our topic today is empowering educators, unveiling instructional coaching trends for the fall and beyond. We have 6 topics. Cassandra, where would you like to start?
Well, let's start from the beginning, right?
Uh,
I think let's start with the first one, tiered support.
okay.
One of the things that I've noticed, as you know, we coach teachers in our company, and our teachers need help. They are crying for help and support. And this one blanket of professional development really doesn't support individual growth and individual learners, especially with our teachers. And so we really have to think about what is the tiered support that is necessary for the professional development and the tiered support that's necessary for the school. Because what happens is we have this blanket statement and said, here's what the professional development is. And it really doesn't address the needs of our SPED team. It doesn't develop the needs of, our math, our reading, especially for the K6, K8. And so really looking at differentiated instruction for our teachers. And then on the school side is looking at the systems that we have in place to keep our teachers and to keep them motivated to grow.
Now, let me go back to something I think I heard you say. Did you say differentiated instruction?
Oh my goodness. Yes,
Now, wait a minute now. Most times when we talk about differentiated instruction, we're talking about differentiated instruction for students. But are you saying then that the professional development and the coaching and the support that we give to teachers should be differentiated?
Yes. Oh
And
my.
differentiated by subject matter, discipline, or differentiated by their
Both,
level
David,
or degree of professional development?
both. I mean, that's powerful, right? Just imagine if you're a math teacher and you had a mentor or a coach, which, like I said, we have on our team coaches that support you in math, in your growth, in your math journey. But then we've partnered, your school has developed a program where they match a veteran teacher that's in the math program with, this young new math teacher. So not only do we have this instructional piece that supports the teacher in her growth and professional development to make sure they have what they need, but also this mentorship within the school. And, I hear about these mentorships, and I think the main struggle I hear about is the sustainability. And so I firmly believe that if you are receiving mentorship, you should get a paid stipend. Or if you're providing membership, you should get a paid stipend. That really provides sustainable systems that will allow people to continue their growth. So yes, David, both and.
All right, now Cassandra, I'm glad you spoke about a stipend to be a mentor. And I was actually going to ask you about that. And you use the term sustainability, and you mean sustainability to mean that once something has started, you want it to be able to continue until it has reached its height. It is
Yes.
lived out to its fullest fruition, to its fullest purpose. From what I understand, historically, there's been difficulty with receiving support, and I recall states rather than school districts providing the financial support to
Yes.
maintain and to sustain, as you say, sustain mentorship programs. So where do we stand now in a general sense? Where do states and school districts stand regarding sustaining mentorship programs?
I really think it just depends on what is the need of the school. And if you want something to happen, you can make it happen. I mean, we've fundraised, we've donated. I mean, I've written a grant that was for 150,000 for food in the classroom. So the resources are out there, the funding is out there. It's who wants it, and are you willing to invest in this? Is this your vision? Is this your plan? And I think it's worth the investment, especially right now when we need teacher retention.
Yes, yes, teacher retention. Okay, well that brings up another question then. Should that extra funding, extra support from states, and I'm in Texas, and Texas right now is the state is offering support to districts aimed at retaining teachers. So, where should the money go? Should it go to mentorship programs and mentorship relationships, or should it go to enhancing teacher salaries?
Ooh, David. Ah, that was tricky. You know, I'm all about teachers need to get paid.
Right.
Advancing teacher salaries. That's the bottom line. We need to get paid for our supports and the things that we do. But you know, I hate to say one or the other. I always say there's always room for both. And if we are working collaboratively as a team, and districts understand what our mission is and our vision is, and principals have that keyed in, many of their stakeholders will help them get to their goals if they include all. So I'm not saying both and, I'm saying we can do both and, just to make it happen. But here we go, David, I know, but I would love for teachers to get their worth.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we better take your next topic here: asynchronous learning. Now, of course, when you speak of asynchronous learning, you're talking about online learning. And I know one of your areas of expertise is e-learning. So
Yeah.
tell us how to improve or at least enhance asynchronous learning.
So I think of asynchronous learning with both teachers and their students. Okay. And so when I think asynchronous learning for our students, I think, what is the learning material? How do we think of flexible scheduling for our students, their materials, you know, even completing assignments maybe at their own pace? What does that look like? How can we allow students to grasp the concept before moving on and thinking about mastery? I also think about what students can we provide self-paced learning to. Um, you know, just being able to extend on their topics, just understanding that repetition may work for a group of students, and it may not work for another. But really, trial and error, um, learning how to manage time management
Mm-hmm.
skills. You know, all these are really fun ways for asynchronous learning and then
Now,
conclude
Cassandra, let's
assignments.
flip
So,
this. Let's flip
uh-oh,
this. We're talking about empowering educators.
right,
And we, in this case, you were talking about asynchronous learning targeted towards students.
right.
What about asynchronous learning targeted toward educators, teachers, and others?
Right. This is my specialty. This is what I love. And I always say it's that how can we make sure we give teachers exactly what they need? So even this is PD may look like pre-recorded video content on areas of study that they want to pursue, or like audio explanations or written content that is provided to them at their own pace, little chunks of content that is given to them in the areas that they want to grow in.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many things, from personalized feedback. Like I said, we do a lot of video coaching. And
Mhm.
our professional development face to face is really based on what we see in the videos. So
Mhm.
if we see maybe 7 out of the 10 teachers struggle with classroom management, our PD is going to be based around that. And we're going to have video examples to show that.
Mhm.
So I think a lot of that really changes the narrative of what's been done, and personalized feedback on
Mhm.
more times that people can get eyes on you.
Now,
So,
Cassandra, I know
okay,
that you have an interest, and part of your entrepreneurship is using learner experience platforms, LXPs. And I guess Udemy or Thinkific comes to mind. Those would be LXPs. So when you speak of asynchronous learning, are you speaking of using learner experience platforms and other, what's the term? What's the general term for within your organization? Oh,
like
I'm LMS.
LMSs.
Thank you. Thank you. LMS,
Okay.
learning
So
management systems.
yes, right. So we do have a platform, and this platform is pretty really well created. So it captures the videos, and teachers can record on their phones anywhere. We don't have to use any bots or anything. Teachers record on their phones or their devices. It uploads to our server. Our coaches get immediately access. One of the requirements we have in our business is there at least needs to be up to 48 hours of feedback. So we cannot wait with, you can't wait over 2 days because teachers will not remember. You will not remember.
All right.
So,
Okay. All right. I was getting ready to go there, Cassandra. Okay. Here we go, Cassandra. Here we go. We were speaking earlier about effective pedagogy, or in the
yeah,
case of educators, adult learners,
yeah,
effective andragogy.
yeah.
So, what would you say effective andragogy is for those who are engaged in asynchronous learning or using a learning experience platform LMS? What is effective andragogy?
So, so pretty much is, we try to, especially for online components, we try to get back within 24 to 48 hours. Quicker is better, but our organization, everything is 48 hours, from email feedback to teacher support to the debrief. We try to make sure we debrief in a short period of time, and we try to provide online learning video modules comparative to what teachers need or what they could do at this time. Now, it would make sense to give them an hour-long video, but we're not at this time. Right
I'm going to
now,
interrupt you. I'm going to jump you here. I'm going to
go
jump
for
you.
it. Go
All
for it.
right. We know that effective learning for adults is to engage in substantive conversation. We
Yeah.
do breakouts. We have breakout rooms
Yes.
online. But if
Yes.
it's asynchronous, how can you duplicate or accommodate learning from each other when it's asynchronous?
So, David, like I said, what our coaching cycle looks like is we record and uploads, we give timestamp feedback within 48 hours, and then we debrief on Zoom. And much of what we see is one step to move the needle. We provide a video example, which is about 3 minutes, and then we send the link. And teachers click the link, and that is what our coaches expect to see in the next video demonstration with the classroom.
And
So I think it's more of practice,
okay.
right? What is the practice that needs to be shown after, the example has been given on next steps, and we've talked about it.
Mhm. So I guess then there's a chat room or a forum where people can exchange ideas and
Of
debate and
course.
question each other.
Yes. I
Mhm.
mean, so here's the thing. They don't Teachers don't question each other, because a lot of times with video, people are very private about who sees their video, and the only person who sees their video is their coach.
Mhm.
But we do have like rambunctious discussions on topics, and within the system, and then they have access to WhatsApp. We do a WhatsApp group.
Mhm.
So anything they want to share, any celebrations, then we connect that way as well.
Okay. All right. Oh, shall we go to another topic? Next one is teacher authenticity. But you tell us, where would you like to go?
Yeah, we can do teachers authenticity. I think one of the things that leaders struggle with is getting the most out of their teachers and having them bring their true self to the space. And a lot of times our teachers just want to be recognized and noticed, and they want to bring a piece of themselves to the school. And I always bring up the example of, we had a teacher named Joe. And I was like, well, what's your passion? Why do you come to school every day? What do you love? What are your hobbies? And many times he would say, oh, well, I really love to play guitar. I one day want to bring the guitar to school, you know? And he actually brought the guitar to school, played it during our lunchtime. That moved on to an after school program teaching guitar. That got a stipend. So now he was getting paid for his services. Teachers wanted to join the class. Parents wanted to join the class. It became bigger. And that was his joy. But he was able to bring a piece of his authentic self to the school. And that just promoted his love for being at the school. And, a lot of our teachers struggle to find themselves within the school.
That whole question or conversation about authenticity, is that a Gen X type of thing, or people from my era? Is that something that we've never concerned? Where did authenticity come from? Where did that originate?
Well, look, David, you're not about to get me in trouble. Look, I just know, we want to bring student voice in the classroom. We want to bring teacher voice in the classroom. And we want to bring community voice in the classroom. And many times we don't. Many times our classrooms don't reflect our community, and that's a concern. Many times our teachers' classroom don't reflect their authentic self. And there are times when the students don't reflect the bulletin boards or the papers or the books. So really looking at, authenticity overall and making sure that we bring all the pieces that highlight our community into the classroom.
Okay, we better go on to your next topic, student voice. Now, does the student voice must be authentic as well?
Yes. Oh my God, baby. Yes. Yes.
Or is it just naturally authentic?
Students need to be heard. Right now, they're not being heard. A lot of our decisions are top-down approach. And sometimes students can come up with some wonderful ideas and plans. And sometimes it could be an insert to a lesson. It could be an extension, or it could be an activity, or a reach out from to a colleague, to another colleague, to come and show a demo about an experience. But I really say that's the magic. If students tell you their passion, bringing a little of their passion to the classroom, it's like tremendous, and feeding their soul.
So what ways could we educators collect or hear the student voice? And what type of settings, what kind of forums, and so on?
Sure. So, something as simple as tell me, what's your favorite song, and then find the musicals of everybody's song, and then putting that on rotation during independent work time. Something during a theme, having content that came from home that's related to a theme or a topic, students sharing and showing it and expressing how it's important to the topic or theme or idea. So these are just a couple of ways that students can bring everything they have to the classroom. And then it could be something like, I remember it was one school that, they want to meet a DJ. One of the things that they want to do, bring a DJ, see how important scratching was in the community and culture. So that was a trending topic that they want to learn more about. But the teacher reached out to a couple of people. They came, and that was a small little mini unit. And it was over. But I think it really got students very excited that the teacher listened to them enough to incorporate something they love or a trend in the classroom.
Okay. All right. Your next topic is growth model. Do you mean growth model or?
Yeah, the growth model. It's growth.
Okay, go on.
So through the pandemic, I think it was a struggle for a lot of our teachers because we were online and we were thinking about, how does the coaching and the debrief, how does that work with the online model? What can we do? And many of us just moved to the grow model. I don't want to generalize, but me and a couple of colleagues, we moved to the grow model. And the grow model is, G for what is the goal? Like, asking teachers, what would you like to work on? Answering questions and really understanding what do they want to do? What is their passion? And when are they going to achieve it? What are the benefits of you achieving the goal? So pretty much, what is your goal? What do you want to work on? And then the R is for the reality. What is your situation? Because at that time, teachers were overwhelmed. Their situation, they didn't have access to certain materials, or they didn't know about certain resources. So the reality is like, what's your current reality? What actions have you taken so far? And then what are you doing towards moving towards that goal? And then thinking about what's getting in the way. So that was pretty much the reality. And the O is for like our options. And this is the power, because this is the brainstorming that we get to do to kind of think of, what can we do? Can we do this? Can we do this? And what else could you do? If we thought outside the box, can we do this? So now we're co-collaborating with the teacher to really think about what can we do? And the W is for will. What will we do? And are finding our way forward. So which option are we going to choose? And then, of course, thinking about what's the time frame, when you like to start, and then constantly monitoring that. Okay. And then thinking about what they will commit to doing, and then constantly monitoring that.
So, Cassandra, I made a mistake. We should have had that as capital G, capital R, capital O.
Yes, I'm so sorry. Yes, we could have that. That
because it would be the initials for the model that you just described, and I just mistakenly thought that it was growth model, because of course that's what I've heard that term, and I've used that term before. But you're talking about something else. So give us the words again. The G. What's the G?
The G is for goal. What's the goal?
Goal. And the R.
The reality. What's the reality?
Where you are at that moment.
Exactly.
And
what's
O?
The options?
Options, meaning how, in which different ways could you teach this? In which different ways could you do this?
Yes. What options do you have, right? And then the W is will. What will you act on? What's your will? What's your way forward? What will you do? So, yeah.
Now, that's interesting. When you said will, I like how you said, what will you do? Because it's putting all those things into action.
Yeah.
What is that? A plan without action is nothing. So all of the GRO is the planning, and then the will is putting into action. That's cool.
Yep.
That's
what
cool.
Will you do?
All right. Well, talk about data support now. Your last topic in the agenda.
Yeah, I think data support is so key, especially for people that are out there. Is anything we want to do, we have to have data support in creating that next step or that next phase, or finding funding for it. But the biggest concern I have too is for coaches that are out there. Many times they're using tools that are antiquated with the amount of data that they can actually capture. And I think it's just really thinking about advocating for your resources and materials, and being able to get systems in place so you can start tracking your data, how many teachers you saw, what's your teacher retention, so you can justify how extraordinary you are. Many of our coaches are using like Excel data spreadsheets. They're servicing 50 schools or something, like 6 schools, and it's hard to track data based off of these situations. But
I've been a data guy for many years, and it seems currently people use the word data differently than I learned to use it way back when. Now, let's clarify. When you're speaking of data here, you're talking about evaluation. You're talking about evaluating the effectiveness of what you are doing.
So, yeah, but not actually evaluating the teacher, right?
Yeah, evaluating yourself, or evaluating
yourself. Yes.
Right. If you are an instructional coach,
yes.
How do you know that what you're doing is effective?
Working, right. I think there comes a time in a coach's training or validation where they're going to have to validate what they're doing and what effectiveness they have taken. Like how effective are they? And many times we don't advocate for those systems to show that. I'm pretty sure there are things maybe in Power School that can be added to where it supports coaching, but there are tools out there that really support coaches, and and it shows growth over time. It shows teacher retention. It shows how many questions you asked. It shows how many teachers did you meet? How did who did you miss?
And it's not just the meeting teachers, it's a measure. I've attended events where they claim they were doing an evaluation and they ask, was the room warm enough? Was the food good? Not how much you learned from the event, but things that were extraneous or not even related to what the workshop might have been. I would have preferred to be asked, what did you learn from this workshop? So that they would have an idea that what they presented was effective. Well, Cassandra, unfortunately, we're out of time. Time flies. I tell you what, time flies. In fact, we're over time. So here, give us a takeaway for the 3 topics we discussed, or the overall empowering teachers, unveiling instructional coaching trends for the fall and beyond.
Well, I mean, the ultimate goal is, love your teachers, support them, and make sure that they, once you give them the support and the professional development they need, that many times they stay. And so, of course, the money is very important. So I always advocate for money, but just make sure you support your teachers through this journey, because it is challenging times.
And what's the takeaway? What do you want people to do with this knowledge, this information?
If you need help or support, David's here. He is a great, he is on our team. He's amazing for coaching our leaders. I work with K-12 educators. So if you need any help, definitely reach out to us, because we are definitely here to support you.
And how can they contact you? There's your whole list right there.
Right. We're on LinkedIn. David's on LinkedIn. You can find us on any social media.
All right.
And website.
Well, Cassandra, thank you for being our guest tonight. Cassandra Williams, Indianapolis, Indiana, is an accomplished educator, administrator, and consultant known for her diverse roles and significant contributions to education. Cassandra is my dear friend and colleague, and it's so great to have you here and great to have all of our guests. So good night to all.